It's recording.
Oh, okay. We just watched 12 Years a Slave.
I'm Paul. This is my friend Kyra.
Initial reactions to 12 Years a Slave. We differ. I thought it was emotional.
I mean, I thought it was emotional. I just thought it was a little bit like, I mean,
It was dramatized. It was it did have the Hollywood effect.
like I don't know. I mean, I guess like it makes sense that it was dramatized because
It's dramatized.
dramatized. Okay, sorry. I guess it didn't make sense because he is a slave. Like that sucks. Like if someone just kidnaps me, like, if I just was drugged and then became a slave for 12 years, I'd be pretty sad about it too. But I don't know. I just
Well,
felt like,
yeah. The thing is that they were like, "Oh, come join our music thing. Come with us," and they kidnapped him.
yeah, like it's I don't know. Like in the movie we watched today, what's that movie called? We just watched
The one we
it.
just watched.
I'm a slave. And I'm saying like they did have that like comedic relief part, which just makes it more bearable to watch as a movie. So watching this movie, I was just depressed the whole time.
Yeah, the movie was really sad. There was a suicide. She wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah, like begging me to commit suicide. Like that's.
And then the other slave had to beat her.
Yeah.
That was really touching.
I'm gonna look so how.
And then she spent most of the movie crying over her kids, which was really sad.
Did you?
But that was too dramatized. That was way too Hollywood. I thought it was.
Well, when the lady who lost her children was crying.
Yeah, I don't think that was like played out well.
Yeah, I guess she did cry like an exception on that.
So, it was excessive.
You think I'm terrible with names? You think the main character fought slavery well? Like, how did he and didn't he fight slavery?
Well, he escaped slavery.
Yeah, I guess it took 12 years. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, but what's 12? I mean,
well, here's what I'm thinking. So he get out of here. I mean, like, there was so many, like, I guess he, at first, like, when the guy was whipping him originally, like, when he first got captured, and he asked, like, are you, like, a slave, or are you from Georgia?
and he said no.
Yeah, he said no, like, then I would say he was fighting slavery. And then he, like, went on, said that, like, someone was like, you just have to survive, and he was like, I don't want to survive, like, I want to live. But as the rest of the movie went on, he was pretty much just about surviving.
Yeah. And then the part where the one guy actually beat the slave woman, that was not fighting slavery at all. Like, 100% not.
Well, when he, like, made him beat her?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, he made him whip her, but he didn't have to say yes. That wasn't fighting slavery.
I mean,
that was definitely...
Exactly, like... I mean, the guy did threaten with his life. And, like, I don't know. But, yeah, I don't think that was fighting slavery. Like, I think he was just... He whipped her because he was threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he was threatened with other people's lives, too, like, that's a tough decision, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
Other characters that I thought... Like, Patsy, do you think her getting cotton was an example of fighting slavery? Do you think that was more submission? She always got, like, the most cotton. Like,
I don't think that was fighting slavery. She's just a good worker, a good hard worker.
Yeah, like, would you say... I mean, but in a way, because, like, by being a hard worker, she was, for the I mean, as she was whipped, but, like, for the most part, was treated a little bit better and, like, defended. Like, I guess that's...
I don't think that's fighting slavery. I think that's just... No, that's definitely... I don't know. I don't think it's fighting slavery because I think being a good worker is just part of surviving, but it also benefits your master. There's nothing that the master gets away from that. It doesn't free you because you're a good worker, so I don't think that's fighting slavery.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two masters and the mistress. Let's talk about that.
The two men.
Well, I mean the master and the mistress as a couple.
Oh, like the power thing?
Yeah, there was definitely the power struggle with that.
I guess it's his wife.
I think it was his wife.
The, like, white lady, yeah.
Yeah, I think it started because she saw the interest that he took in her, and then...
I mean...
And then she demanded that the slave woman be sent away, and her husband said no. He said, I'll send you away before I send her away. And then so then for the rest of the movie, she just treated her incredibly bad.
Yeah, I guess that's like
to the point where she wanted to commit suicide.
Like, who had the more, like...
And, like, wouldn't give her food.
Like, who had
and
more
treated all the other slaves better in front of her.
Yeah, like, who had more of, like, the powerful position, like the husband, or, like, the white husband, or, like, the white wife. Because, like, the wife, like...
That's true.
like took out her like anger on the husband on the slaves, kind of, or actually not even on the slaves, like on Patsy, like specifically,
Yeah, specifically on Patsy.
which is like unjust.
And he raped Patsy. What?
Yeah. So I guess that could have made the wife jealous too.
No, yeah, that's what. That's why. That's what it's about.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like if my spouse raped a bunch of slaves. It would not be ideal.
No.
Not at all. What are other discussion questions? Try to look up discussion questions.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So how do you think this compares to
Like
other?
other forms of fighting slavery.
No, other movies that we watched.
Other
I don't know
movies?
what. I don't know what one movie you watched.
I
We
watched
both watched
Glory.
Lincoln.
I watched Glory. That wasn't really fighting slavery.
Oh, and
We
then I
both watched
watched.
Lincoln. Lincoln wasn't really fighting slavery either.
Okay. Well, compared to the class. Compared to the class.
Yeah, like other people. I mean,
Okay, how does this compare to the first-hand account that we read of 12 Years a Slave?
I mean,
Well, there's a kidnapping. Yeah, there's a kidnapping at the beginning, and then
I also didn't read the whole 12 Years a Slave. What about like other protesters,
true.
like Nat Turner? There's a good one. Like he never really showed any. I mean, he did show violence. Remember the one time he in this movie when he like refused to get whipped? Could that be considered fighting slavery? He like fought back the guy.
when oh yeah,
I
when
mean, that's obviously not as intense as Nat
Yeah, he
Turner's
beat
full
his-
rebellion, but
he beat his master.
yeah, he did. He like even when he was on top, like he kept like striking him.
Yeah, and so they went to hang him,
Yeah, but
but then they weren't truly his master, and so the next master came along.
yeah, but like, but still, like, is that shit like violence? Is, like, I guess violence is successful in that sense. It was only successful though because
No,
he had
it
someone
wasn't-
watching his back. Like if he
Yeah.
hadn't had a white slaver watching his back, that would have been an incredibly unsuccessful slavery protest.
So how good of a form of fighting slavery is physically fighting back?
Yeah, like, I don't think that's.
In this case, it wasn't. Not at
Yeah.
all. He just got lucky. Else he would have died.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was fortunate that he had someone like trying to save his life.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing I didn't get. Like
It was about the debt, though. It wasn't about him.
Yeah.
It was just for the money.
yeah, like there was that. The white guy, like he said, like oh he's a good master. Like if you've been kidnapped, if you were a free man, you've been kidnapped as a slave. I guess that it's like all relative, like who you think is a good master and who you think is not a good master. But
Do you remember this? One of the very beginning scenes. They were on the boat, and I think his name is Clemson, something along those lines.
I'm bad.
But
with names.
I think his name was Clemson. He ran off the boat and hugged his master and was like, "Master, master."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I guess respecting the masters that treat you better.
Yeah, but a lot of that is just based on your master's
Like-
personality.
So like he.
I mean, Clemson wasn't a big focus in the movie, but
Yeah.
that was interesting to see, because we talked about people who had good masters before, but I don't think we ever saw it to that extent where they would run off the ship and go and hug their master.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I understand. And like, yeah, they did.
That's really interesting.
And they hit a lot of like elements of why slavery was like they like going back to the lady who lost her children. They definitely hit on the point well that slavery separates families. Like they had the guy selling the slaves, and they had when the guy came in and like the wife begged or like the woman begged, she was like, please like don't separate from me from my children, and they just didn't care, and they just separated them anyway.
Yeah.
Like
And then
I think the movie did that well, where they like showed that like the white slavers had
I
just no
agree,
remorse
I
for
agree.
separating.
and
family.
then they came up in the carriage, and the slave woman was sobbing, crying, and then her new master came out and was like, "Oh, like what's wrong with this one?" And they said, "Oh, she was separated from her kids," and she was like, "Oh, they couldn't be helped. She was separated from her kids," and she goes, "Oh, poor woman," and then just gets on with her day, like, "Oh, like I'm so sorry for you, but not really."
Yeah, like they obviously like just didn't care at all that
Yeah.
like they were separated. Like that's
Yeah.
awful.
In that case, it was definitely not. It couldn't have been helped. It was.
Do you think the movie was too graphic? I mean, like, I get that slavery is graphic, but this movie actually made me uncomfortable. Like I said, like, the no comedic relief thing, like, this movie was really disturbing.
It was very disturbing. Actually, today's movie that we watched prior to this, I'm Slave, I found it more disturbing when she was cutting herself. Like, when
Really?
she cut her hand open. Watching that was more
You
disturbing.
found that more disturbing than, like, a lady just getting whipped. They, like, literally
Yeah.
showed every strike hit her and, like, blood saw.
Yeah, because she
I
was
thought
doing it
that
to
was bad.
herself. I mean, I thought it was both disturbing. I didn't think it was, like...
Yeah. True. No, yeah, but it was still definitely disturbing.
Yeah. I think it was very graphic, and I'm not sure what the ratings are, but it's probably, like, rated PG-13 or R, because that was not something appropriate for kids to see, but... Yeah. The part after the other slave was forced to whip her cuts all over her back. That was very graphic. But I think that would prove a point to, like...
Here's a good thing about it. Because, like, when the movie was over, they had, like, the bunch of writing showing all the things that Solomon did after he was freed.
Yeah.
So, I guess you could see him just, like, surviving for, like, the 12 years. Because, like, he seems to just, like, kind of go along with it until he has an opportunity to escape, which takes 12 years. But
yeah, it's just surviving fighting slavery?
Yeah, because I guess, like, after he, like, does all those, like, they were, I don't
Okay, let's talk about that. Just surviving versus suicide. Can both be fighting slavery? We'll talk about the woman who wanted to commit suicide.
The woman who, like, asked
and then the guy who just survived and fought slavery after.
See, that's the thing. Like, the girl who just wanted... I mean, she didn't actually end up dying, but
she's
still, like, a slave. Like,
was that fighting slavery, though, if she had committed suicide?
I guess not, because think about it. Like, if Solomon committed suicide, he wouldn't have, like, eventually gained his freedom, and he wouldn't have written 12 Years a Slave, and he wouldn't have gone out and gave, like... I don't know if it was, like, speeches or just, like, talking about all his troubles. So I think that by committing suicide, you're not really helping, like, the fight, because it's kind of selfish.
The discussion we had in class yesterday when Nate was saying about if they just ran away and didn't talk about it, then it wasn't fighting slavery. I hadn't really thought about it in that way before. It's like, but committing when I think about it in that sense, then committing suicide really is not fighting slavery.
Yeah, because people were saying that just running away is fighting it because you're technically like
another slave will be put in that place.
That's
so
what I mean. Like
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with Nate that.
So
I mean, if you don't do anything after, it's not. I
can see the point. I can see where the point is being made. I wouldn't totally.
Yeah, and you disagreed with him in class.
Yeah, I mean, I could see his point, but I disagreed with him in class.
Why? I mean,
in the case of suicide, I think.
So you think running? I mean, if you run away and don't say anything, and if you kill yourself, those are both equally not fighting slavery.
No.
Yeah, because like, how is killing yourself any different from running away and not doing anything? Like, if you run away and you go out and you tell your story, then that's fighting slavery because you're spreading its like problems. But if you just like run away and like stay quiet, then yeah, you survived. Like, you fought your own slavery, but not the world's slavery.
Just fighting slavery has to be fighting world slavery?
I don't know. I mean, I think it has to be. I mean, I don't know. I guess not. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying I would go out and like make if I was put into slavery, I don't think that I would make the world like my main focus. I would be pretty much like Solomon and just try to survive and wait for my best opportunity. But
yeah.
I mean, if you're like,
being just for herself is understandable because all her life she's been a slave all her life, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And she was like,
all her life she's been submissive, so I don't know if she thinks there's anything she can actually do.
Yeah. Yeah, Patsy was really submissive. She was like very she followed orders like very well and like worked really hard, like
wasn't spiteful.
Oh, you know who else
didn't retaliate.
I want to talk about that old like black lady who was like with Patsy. I think she was with Patsy for a second when he went up to the porch.
Oh,
and she was like talking about how like